liked the presentation of duality, because if we are affirming our magnificence from a place of duality, we're gonna do a duality release, which is a big part of the self-acceptance process, or the transpersonal work that I teach and do. If we're affirming it from a place of duality, then it doesn't take hold. It's not really our foundation. It's just putting paint on the house rather than shifting the foundation. So I got all sorts of beautiful charts up here, and I just didn't know which one we were going to jump to. But if we look at from duality, oh, I'm sorry, right there. From duality, life is a case of mistaken identity, right? So we think we are these limited beliefs. We think we are these thoughts. And you got this lion here, and he thinks he's a lamb. He's going to roar, you know. You got little question marks above their head. And shopping for a Halloween costume the other day, there was a little girl that wanted to be Darth Vader, but she also wanted to be a princess. And or something like that. She wanted these, and then I found a picture that kind of fit that and explained duality really well.
That's cute.
Duality showed up in my life, so there are some key points that, you know, those of you that like some structure, I'll put it up later. But some key points to really moving into accepting your brilliance or coming into deep intimacy with yourself. And key components of self-acceptance process are non-duality, you're whole already, and I'll write these on the board for you. Feeling is healing, belief as an experience versus thought. Everything we will, or well, it's gonna unfold perfectly today. We'll either get to all this or we won't. And I want to make sure you guys have some tools. You leave with some new tools. So we'll get to all that. And duality, duality, yes. Duality showed up in my life in so many different ways. We'll tell one story. When I started and I had that transformation, and I started teaching these principles that I didn't even know, my personality hadn't hadn't caught up to it. So I'd go in a session and I'd be guiding people and loving their, you know, I'm like, oh cool, you want to kill yourself? Let's love that killing. And they'd be freed, and they'd come out of depression of 10, 20 years, and they'd have all these healings or expansions, and it would scare the heck out of me. And so I was recording them in the book, Why Self-Acceptance is So Powerful, and I would see all these amazing things happen. And I'd walk out of the healing room and feel I was the biggest pile of shit on the planet. I'd be so insecure. Mm-hmm. And this went on for about 8 years. So over here, I was amazing. I was a miracle worker. I was just, oh my gosh, I must be channeling Kuan Yin or Christ or something. Oh my God, I'm anointed. You know, and people would tell me that, right? And I believed it. And then, so this was over here. And I'm like, oh, yeah, what's up? Wow. You know, whew, I got it going on. And over here, I was a huge pile of shit. I was insecure. I didn't like my body. I had really no sexual life force moving through my body. I pretty much ate anything that was, you know, that was fried. This is this is over here, right? I loved about 2 pots of coffee a day, what else did I do in this space over here? Didn't really have a real relationship at that time. Thought I was in a relationship, but I didn't. You know, had no real intimacy, nothing. Just this is this. But then this was happening, and so guess what I did? I went ahead and did this 70, 80 hours a week because of this wasn't so great. And then I'm over here, you know, so there's this whoo, whoo, whoo. And then at some point, as I continued to love myself, as I continued to practice what I was preaching and recording it, I began this gap between these two spaces. My divinity, well, let's just call it divinity, even though it's not really, because divinity needs this too. But let's just call this divinity and humanity. So I was over here and I was over here, and there's like about 100 miles. And that gap just kept on closing. As I kept on loving my self-hate, as I kept on loving the insecurity, as I kept on being able to be with it, what happened is I got closer and closer and closer and closer to this space right here that included both of these. That's non-duality. So that omnipotence, omnipresent energy that is creation includes both of these. So when you say I'm magnificent, yeah, I'm also at times an insecure little shit. Cool. But because I'm aware of it, I lean towards the knife, remembering things that we keep in the front of our consciousness don't affect us. Things that we embrace, they don't have power to influence us. In fact, Brene Brown, who does the vulnerability. So when I'm saying feeling is healing, or feel without attacking yourself, or feel the feelings without running away from them, or distracting them, or affirming, or praying them away. Another way of saying that is be vulnerable. So Brene Brown, who's done also, I think I've actually done more research hours than she has, but she said she did about 10 years. She calls that vulnerability, and when you embrace your vulnerability, of course you know power. And so to really let yourself know, though, the tricks that our mind plays. I had a man that told me he would rather go back to war than face his anger inside of him, and love it, and face his wife. He made that decision. And he's like, Barbara, I'm clear this stuff works, and I'm clear I don't want to do it. So he divorced his wife, got married to another. Yeah. And that warrior's heart that we have to bring, that self-love is courageous. It's the very thing that we've called weak in our culture is actually courageous. The very thing that takes every part of your being. I remember I was at a silent meditation retreat with my teacher, Michael Beckwith, and there was no distractions, right? I didn't have TV, didn't have my iPhone, didn't have anyone saying anything. And I saw how my mind still wanted to think about somebody to rescue or fix. I wanted to think about my mother. I saw how my mind really wanted to focus on getting a cup of coffee. Because I used to drink 2 pots. Now I don't drink coffee like maybe once or twice, which is usually decaf. However, it's still there. One thing that I wish somebody would have told me when I started my growth work, so I'll get into the distraction part, but what I wish somebody would have told me was these parts of ourselves we're trying to fix, sweetheart, they never go away. In fact, we just lose our identification. Whatever we resist, we identify as. We begin to embrace them. So things that talk about spiritually ascension, rising out of the earth. And if you want to go to my amazing workshop on body intimacy and body connection, and talk about the history of why we try to rise out of our emotions and our body and the historical reasons and religious reasons. Oh, baby, I love that. I love that workshop. So if you're listening and would like to have me come to your organization, no, I'm just kidding. So it's in embracing all these parts of ourselves, loving all these parts of us. So circling back, loving all parts of these ourselves. And being aware of how distracting, we can get to really come here. And there's going to be a part of our mind that, yeah, you hear the story of the war, the guy that would rather go back to war than look within. That it takes that kind of, to rest in paradox, to rest in that place of non-duality, takes the heart of a warrior. And just to lighten things up a bit, this is also why we don't look within. We're afraid of being a spiritual donut. But this is really true too. There's a part of us that believes if we look within, we're going to discover the devil or discover something bad. So it's almost cruel in North America that we haven't been told that we're whole and brilliant and beautiful, but yet we're told messages like rise above your feelings, they're weak. That's a form of, wounded masculine. We've been told messages that you're sinful or bad. We've been told so many messages of just think positive. We've been told so many messages, well, just get over it. So we have so much attack or shame on these very parts of ourselves that need love that when, we're like, yeah, I'm not looking in the center. I'm just going to there's not going to be some yummy cream, It's like, yeah, there's a part, I mean, or like, yeah, there's all of us that's afraid of being a spiritual donut, you know? Anybody not have fears of being a spiritual donut at some point? Or anyone have that that can relate to that? Yeah, okay, great.